What do we have here? A murder! Is that a hair I see? Oh, okay, so I'm just gonna collect this sample. Put it in. And there we go. There were 3 people left in the lab when the crime happened. Suspect 1, Suspect 2, and Suspect 3. Who did it? So, now we'll start collecting DNA samples from our suspects. So, Suspect 3. Boop. There we go, perfect. Suspect 2. Bloop.
Ow!
There we go. And Suspect 1. Ow. So now it's time to find the criminals. So what we'll be doing is a gel electrophoresis to compare DNA found on the victim and our 3 suspects. And so in order to do that, what we'll need is just agarose powder. Right, and this is about 2 grams. And then about 75 milliliters of liquid. And then what we're doing is basically just making jello. So we just need to dissolve this in the microwave. Put in the microwave and hit like 1 minute. And we'll see you in a minute. So as always, safety first. So we're gonna grab our melted jello powder and we're just gonna let it cool for a bit before we add in our flavors for our Ethydium Bromide. Yeah. Oh, no. So now that our gel has cooled down a little bit, what we'll do is add some Ethydium Bromide, and what that allows us to do is it binds and intercalates with the DNA, and then we'll be able to view the DNA under UV lights. So, just gonna add basically a drop, too much. So, it's pretty dangerous, so wouldn't recommend breathing it in. And there we go, cherry flavored jello. What we'll do is just give it a little time to mix in. And then I'm just gonna close this for lab safety. Put it in its rightful place. And then we'll just pour our gel in. And so these blue things are just combs so that we'll be able to load in our DNA samples of our suspects when we're ready. So now we're just gonna let this gel cool and set, just like Jello. Yeah. So now that our gel has set, right, you can see it's solid. What we'll do is just remove the tape and the combs, and then yeah, we'll go from there. So I'm just gonna carefully remove the combs without breaking the gel. Don't want to break the gel. Oh wait, it was leaking, but whatever. So there's one comb, and there's the other comb, and then we'll just remove the tape. And as you can see, we have a solid gel. And it basically just looks like Jello, so. Yeah, there we go. What a beautiful gel. Yeah. So now we have our suspect and criminal samples. So before we load them into here, what we'll do is just spin it down and centrifuge it. Centrifuge. So we'll just mix it a little bit, and then make sure everything's balanced, and just spin it down for like 3 seconds. So 1, 2, 3. There you go. Good enough. So everything's now at the bottom, and we can start loading. So now we'll start loading the gel. So this is our chamber here, and that's what we're going to be using. So this is our the gel that we made. So I'm just going to place it into the chamber, okay, very carefully. And then it's just important to make sure that all the wells are filled. So you can see that the buffer is covering the wells. Yeah. So what we'll do first is we'll load the ladder. And the ladder is just basically made from a company, and it just has like a list of all the fragment sizes so that we can compare our suspect DNA to a standard to figure out how large each band is. So let's start with the loading. So I'll load. So you can see here, that's our ladder sample. And what I'll do is just support my arm while I load, and use my pinky to guide so that I go right into the hole without piercing it. And then hopefully you can see the ladder falls right into the well without breaking. And I'll do it again for the bottom line as well. So again, just supporting my hand so that we have ladder. There you go. So hopefully you can see it. And then, yeah, and then now I'm gonna just start to load our samples. So first, I'll load the criminal sample, or the sample from the scene. So, and then again, I'll load it in the first well next to it and support my finger, and you can see it just fall down. So, second sample. This is suspect 1. Load. And then suspect 2. And load. And then finally suspect 3. 4, 3. Suspect 3. And there we go. Now we'll see what happens. Yeah, so now that we've loaded our gel, all I'm gonna do is just close the lid and then apply a current that goes from negative to positive. So negative is black, positive is red, and DNA itself is negatively charged, so it'll be attracted towards the positive end. And to do that, all we do is turn on and run at about 135 volts for about 45 minutes. In about 45 minutes, we hope to see the separation of bands. So now that it's been about 45 minutes, I'm going to turn off our machine, and then I'm going to remove the box. And as you can see, it's slightly difficult, but the dye has reached about 75% of the way. So now we can go take a look at it under UV lights. So now we'll just look at it in our gel docs. So I'm just going to open it up. Put our gel in the center. Bubbles. Turn on the white lights. And here you can see our gel under white lights. So I'm just gonna adjust, and then here we can zoom in and out. So just to make sure we're able to capture everything. There we go. And then we can adjust the focus a bit. Okay, that looks focused enough for me. I'll close it down, turn off the white lights, and then now we can start viewing it. So now we can start viewing it under UV lights. So there we go. So hopefully we see bands. Yeah, so you can see here are the bands. Yeah, so now that we have our image set up, what we have here, this is our research lab, and basically some of these mice express a protein called GFP, or technically co-express a protein called GFP, which is green fluorescent protein. So when you look at under a light microscope or a fluorescent microscope, you'll be able to see them grow green, which is pretty cool. And then basically with this gel, you can see that this, and these two samples are GFP positive, while lanes technically 3, 5, and 6 are negative. And then here we have the ladders, so we're able to compare the size of what we expect GFP to be, so about, I don't know, like 100 base pairs, and this is about 100 and 150, so we know we're looking at the right protein. So yeah. So we found ourselves the most professional place to take a look at our results. So here we go. Okay. So just joking. So you can't use a microscope to look at the results of your gel. So what we did is, using the UV lights, we took a picture of our gel and we can print it out just like this. So here we have the results from the DNA collected at the crime scene, as well as each suspect. In order to figure out who did it, all you have to do is match the bands to see which ones are identical. So who do you think did it? Yeah, and so at our research center, our professors require us to dispose of the gel in a very specific way. And I'll show you the protocol right now. So we take our gel and we just squish it and squish
That's not the protocol!
and squish it. You know, it's a pretty fun jello. You know, you can eat it. Just joking, don't eat it. But yeah. And that's the scientific way of disposing a gel.
Absolutely not! Do not do this!